decides to concede. He concedes the base. Big mistake. Turns they get Tim out at third base. It's going to cost you.
Two guys on the mound today with very lengthy careers, a former Cy Young winner for the Mariners and the veteran anchor for the Sox.
Well, it's Felix Hernandez against James Shields. Felix isn't the same guy we've seen. That guy could really get it up there about 95. These days he's at 86. But you take a look at the record. How about 19 starts as opposed to 18 for James against the Mariners? 5-7 is ERA, above 4.5. These are two good pitchers who have been around. And hopefully today they're saving their best for the opponent. We'll see what happens.
Getaway day for the Sox off to Kansas City after the game, hopefully with a series win in their back pocket. Moncada and Abreu connected in game number 1 for a 10-4 victory. Yesterday, runs were hard to come by in the shadows at Guaranteed Rate Field. Sunlight today, game 3 coming up.
Brought to you in part by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. By Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. And by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Miller Lite, hold true.
Series victory on the line. Sox and Mariners, game number 3 of this 3-game series. Thanks for joining us and making us a part of your work day. If you are at work, if you're not, hope you're enjoying your day off with the kids or otherwise. And time now for the starting lineup for Seattle. It's brought to you by the Webb Auto Group. Same guys in the order once again. D. Gordon up top. Robinson Cano against James Shields has had a very nice career in exactly 100 plate appearances, but the same 9 as we saw the first 2.
The defensive setup for our Sox presented by UI Health, and this is how Ricky's throwing them out there with Nicky, Adam, and Trace left to right. Then it's Yolmer, Tim, Yohan, and Jose in the infield, with Omar Narvaez getting the nod behind the plate, and our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitchers, James Shields. 5 games, 4 starts this year. He's 1-2. His ERA a touch over 6. There you look at the rest of the numbers. Beautiful day to pitch. It is a little chilly, but what wind there is blowing toward the right field corner, and James has a pretty good lineup to face. The umpires for the game this afternoon: Alfonso Marquez, the crew chief, has the plate. Then it's Bruce Dreckman, Chad Fairchild, and Mike Esterbrook. And just a thought.
Yeah.
The visibility was tough yesterday. We all know that. And everybody felt that Mike Esterbrook did not have the best game behind the plate. But understand something. If the hitters can't see it and the catchers can't see it, the umpire also will have some trouble. So we have to cut some slack on yesterday for all concerned. It was a 1-0 game. And so with Mike Esterbrook, I'm sure that he gave the best effort he could, but at some points he probably didn't see the ball quite as well as he would like.
And we have a first pitch here today. It's a strike to D. Gordon. That strike zone that you were mentioning yesterday led to the ejection of Ricky Renteria, who came out to argue on behalf of Matt Davidson. And so Ricky ejected for the first time this season. Shields to Gordon for strike 2 to a man who's tied atop the Major League leaderboard in stolen bases, D. Gordon, with 9. He's tied with 2 Washington Nationals, Michael Taylor and Trey Turner.
You want to keep this one tough and tight, you keep Gordon off base. If he gets on base, it's a problem. Yesterday, he did not have the ball at the infield, although he did walk, but there were 2 outs in the inning and Segura up, and Scott Service elected not to run. Gordon has not had a hit in the series, and James would like to keep it that way.
He's only been on base once. That was the hit by pitch you're talking about. So the Mariners have been without their major catalyst on base, although this team has been dangerous in terms of extra base hits. They're top 10 in Major League Baseball in slugging percentage. You get fewer runs if D. Gordon's not involved.
And when you look around baseball, Jason, I mean, how many true leadoff hitters do you find that are better than D. Gordon, or even just a little bit less than D. Gordon? I'm talking about the true leadoff hitters.
Well, I think it depends on how you define true leadoff hitter.
I mean, a guy that on base percentage is a factor. He will steal a base consistently. He's a guy without a whole lot of power. It's not like the Brian Dozier type leadoff hitter, or you know, the other leadoff hitters, like when the Cubs tried Schwarber as a leadoff hitter. That's not the typical leadoff hitter from years past. D. Gordon is one of those throwback guys at the top.
Inside corner, strike 3. D. Gordon will sit for a while. Out number 1.
This is the best place for him. Good moving fastball. He gives up on it, jumps back off the plate, and it catches more than the inside corner. Catches a good part of the plate.
I think part of the reason you're finding fewer D. Gordons as you cycle through your mind is the leadoff spot has changed
Considerably.
pretty dramatically in baseball. And this one goes to short. Tim Anderson with his basketball expertise flashing here in the first.
There is a dandy of a play, and Tim at the apex of his jump. He goes up and gets it, and he's got some jump there. James Shields pretty happy. He can't believe he made the play. I would say that's as good a vertical leap as we've seen this year by anybody.
Look, when you're a point guard type, you got to get up and around and through. And Tim's first love was basketball, and you saw it right there.
And now he enjoyed that so much that he's on the first base side of second in the shift for Cano, who is a dead pull hitter, loves the ball thigh high or down on the middle portion of the plate.
Outside 2-0, Robinson Cano only trails Jeff Kent in terms of home runs for second baseman all time. Former Giant, among others, Jeff Kent. 2-0. Off the plate outside, 3-0. And the theory behind the change in leadoff hitter type is you want your best hitter to get the most at-bats, regardless of who's around him.
I think that plays very well in the American League because of the DH. I don't think it plays quite as well in the National League, but still, the guys are doing it. Might as well try it. Why not?
And in that category, in terms of lineup construction in the National League, we've seen so many more managers go to batting the pitcher eighth. Mickey Callaway's done that a bunch with the Mets this year.
One of the guys that used that frequently was Tony La Russa, who parlayed that into a Hall of Fame career. So it does work. It comes down, Jason, to knowing your personnel. There's some guys that you can't do that with. There's other guys who thrive at the top. You just as soon have your speed burner up there, but stolen bases have gone the way of another era also. We're not stealing near as many as an industry as we once did.
You think it comes back?
Eventually, when the ball is a little less lively.
Outside ball 4, it's a 2-out walk for Robinson Cano, and here's what James Shields will be featuring today in terms of pitch choice. A lot of stuff.
He's got to dazzle him with his footwork. There was a time, you see the changeup at 13%. There was a time when he could throw that consistently. He was probably up there 30%, maybe a little bit more when he's feeling good about it. He could literally tell you a changeup was coming. He could throw you 3 of them and he could still get you out. They called it a power change because he struck out a lot of guys on that pitch. But now with the velocity way down, considering what he once was, he's gone away from that.
1-0 on Nelson Cruz, now 37 years old. He's had a mighty fine career.
Very strong, can take it opposite way without a great deal of difficulty. You don't have to worry about Cano running too much, especially with Cruz up.
(2-0) on Cruz.
He fell behind on Cano. Now he's fallen behind on Cruz. This is really the danger spot because Cruz, he's trying to hit just about everything out of the ballpark, and who can blame him? He's one of the most powerful men in the game.
It's in there for a strike. 2-1 from Shields to Cruz. Sox will be on the road in Kansas City starting tomorrow, as this is getaway day. Seattle travels to Cleveland from here to start a 4-game series at Progressive Field. Cleveland 12-9, leading the division right now. The Twins, as Chuck Garfien was talking about during this series, the Twins, after that 3 straight snow-out situation with the Sox, have certainly backslid. They've lost 5 in a row to drop to 8-10.
It's a good slider on the last pitch as Cruz pulled the head off, opened the hip, and no contact.
Foul ball, still 2-2. So the Tigers have actually jumped into a second-place tie with the Twins, and the Sox 6.5 back after a really rough start. Nobody's running away with the division.
Well, Cleveland's going to. They just haven't yet. They've got a lot of talent over there. That bullpen and the starting rotation, just about as good as anybody around. Perhaps not Houston as far as the rotation is concerned.
Check swing, no sir.
We saw the Astros on this homestand, and they were as billed. Just a powerful ball club, top to bottom, doing just about everything right these days, and that rotation is outstanding. They added Garrett Cole to it. Got Lance McCullers Jr. in the middle of that rotation. Got a couple of guys, McHugh and Peacock, that can't sniff the rotation. McHugh won 19 games a couple of years ago.
3-2, Cano's off, and another foul ball. The only thing the Astros can't do right about now is beat the Angels.
Angels are pretty tough. That's one of the surprise teams. Not that they didn't have the talent, because they always did. With the Angels, if they can keep their pitching solid, if they don't get decimated by injury, which has become a yearly occurrence for them, if those guys stay healthy, that's going to be a tough team to deal with all year long. And don't forget Oakland in that division. They're also tough. The West is loaded.
Fly ball left center field. Adam Engel to retire the side. The middle out was the spectacular out. Tim Anderson to the top shelf. Mitsubishi's, Genesis, and Hyundai's at the best price. Go to webcars.com. Moncada at the top. Tim Anderson drops down to 5 with a righty on the mound. Circle Daniel Palka, the DH, in his major league debut.
The defensive setup for Scott Service and his Seattle Mariners, presented by UI Health. We'll take a look around left to right. It's Gamble, Gordon, and Haniger. In the infield, Seager, Segura, Cano, and Vogelback. Mike Zunino, the fine defensive catcher behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience Amazing starting pitcher is King Felix. Felix Hernandez at 2-2, his ERA up over 5. Don't be fooled by that. He's got a great changeup. Left-handers have done nothing with him. And those splits will tell you that the changeup is still awfully good.
Yohan Moncada with a blast on pitch number 1. And Moncada takes care of the King. 1-0 Sox. My goodness.
First pitch fastball, Yohan Moncada with big power. Right now he's more advanced from the left side. He doesn't see near as many pitches as a right-hand hitter, but he saw one here to his liking and put a charge into it. So our Ford home run replay, this one goes a mile. Classic uppercut swing. Moncada's got big strength, lots of power to go with it. Watching this man mature before our very eyes on a daily basis is one of the great pleasures we have as White Sox fans and broadcasters, and he put a charge into that.
Now Yolmer Sanchez into right field over the head of Haniger, and he'll get 2 bases out of this one. Right field getting peppered by the Sox infield here in the first.
Yolmer's up over 290, and he's been a handyman to have around, especially in the 2 spot. Playing third base, not his natural position, giving Ricky Renteria and his staff a quality at bat each and every at bat, and defense wherever they put him. And so the Sox have done something that I can't remember doing too often, and that is getting to King Felix early in the ball game. And by the way, the first 2 hitters in every game have gotten hits. 3 games in a row, first 2 hitters with hits.
Sox get a run at least here in this first inning. And by the way, with the home run from like 2 lasers ago, There will be another generous donation from the Alex Nellius family in loving memory of Ursula. Abreu reaches out to pop it up. Vogelbach fading toward the line for round number 1. Sox have been a very aggressive hitting team so far this year, and Felix Hernandez is finding that out.
When you look at all of Felix pitches, you realize you cannot allow a fastball to get by you early in the count because of that good changeup. And he's got 2 different changeups and uses them both very well. This year, unlike previous years, he's throwing his changeup more slowly. And the reason is the velocity on the fastball is between 86 and 88. So as the velocity goes down on the fastball, so he has to decrease the velocity on the changeup. A hard change with a fastball at 88, not enough disparity between the 2 pitches.
There's a hook for a strike. He throws that about a quarter of the time or so.
Take a look at pitch selection. There you see the slider just 8%, but he's got to change it up these days. Last couple of starts, he's been pretty good.
In terms of the miles per hour, raw data-wise, 88 was his average changeup as of 2012, 2013, 89 in 2014. That dropped to 86 last year and down to 84.5 this season.
It has to because the velocity in the fastball. What with the innings and the injuries to Felix, he's had a lot of leg injuries. This is a game of attrition. This game is going to take a whole lot away from you. Then it's up to the pitcher to make an adjustment. Felix has been one of the best around for a long time, so he is adjusting to what he has today, not worried about what he had in 15 or 16.
Throw to third is high, and Sanchez leaning on the battery of Zunino and Hernandez.
Zunino says, my fault. The throw is high. He had a shot at him, and Mike Zunino is a good catcher. Yolmer off to the races, and if this is a good throw, it's going to be very close at third. Nice play by Seager. He keeps it out of the outfield, and that's especially important with 1 out because now the infield has to stay back to stay out of the big inning. And we'll see what happens as far as a fly ball is concerned. So that's a good play by Yolmer. With 2 outs, not recommended. 1 out, a good idea.
All Nicky has to do is roll over on one to the right side of the infield. You get a run.
Just make contact on that changeup. Now, it's tough to look for a changeup 3-2, but looking at the propensity of King Felix, he likes to go with the 3-2 change. Again, you can't look for it. You have to sit fastball and adjust on down. But that is a change, I believe.
Look out, everybody. Cappy, Duck, Yolmer had to do a little dance.
Changeup is high. Nicky does a nice job of putting the bat on the ball, but can't keep it between the lines. And Nick Capra, nice job of getting out of the way. Shows you his skills as a former infielder.
Synchronized dodging, silver medal to Capra and Sanchez. That ball's downstairs. Delmonico nicely comes back to work a walk and put runners at the corners. So here's Tim, who's 4 for 8 in this series. I mean, what he has done to the Mariners, 60% of his games against Seattle for his career have been multi-hit affairs.
These 2 pitchers haven't dominated the opposition. James Shields 5-7, an ERA above 4.5 against these Mariners, and King Felix just 6-6 with an ERA of 3.72 lifetime.
That breaks in for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. The best start for Felix Hernandez this year was his first one. He went 5 1/3 against Cleveland of scoreless baseball. His second start was his worst one. That was at San Francisco. 8 earned runs in 4 innings, and he walked 5, which is exactly as many as he's walked in the last other 4 starts. Broken bat parachute to left field and a base hit to score the run. 2-0 Sox here in the first.
6 driven in for Tim. Tim came into this ball game really enjoying what he sees from Felix. This one, bearing inside, he breaks the bat, but drives home the run. And Anderson hitting .400, granted just 2 for 5 against him. Now he's 3 for 6. So Castillo also has pretty good numbers, but he's getting the day off today, so it's up to the left-hander when he does come to bat, Omar Narvaez. But first things first.
The major league debut, first time in an MLB batter's box for 26-year-old Daniel Palka. Here by way of the Twins, a Sox waiver claim in the offseason. And he swings at his first major league pitch. Ben Gamble in left is underneath and 2 away.
He'll always remember that. He'll remember a former Cy Young Award winner on the mound that he faced. He'll remember that fly ball to left field. Only when he tells it to his grandkids, it's going to be a line drive. He has no idea how the ballpark contained it. The wind was howling in at 40 miles an hour, and he hit it through the teeth of the wind.
And there was a shift on.
Oh.
And if not for the shift, it would have dropped.
That's exactly right.
That at bat is basically like going to Great America in the middle of summer, waiting 2.5 hours to get on one of the rides, and then having the ride last a minute and a half at most.
Well, he's already accomplished one of the things he set out to. 1 was a professional player, and 2, get at least 1 major league at bat, and he's got that.
1 strike to Trace Thompson. Sox with the lead with 2 in the first, and Zunino blocks this ball in the dirt. Two hits in Trace Thompson's second go-round with the Sox, and both have been for extra bases.
Well, if he's thinking about hitting the ball hard, it would behoove him to hit it to right or right center field. Haniger is not all that deep, and the wind is blowing that way.
A little bit of a chill in the air on this Wednesday afternoon. Series finale.
The oddity of the first 2 hitters getting hits in all 3 games, they've been all different players. It was Moncada and Avi Garcia. Garcia leaving to the disabled list after that. Then it was Anderson and Sanchez yesterday. And then today, it's Moncada and Sanchez. So different guys, different situations, and yet first 2 hitters with hits in all 3.
Hernandez strikes out Thompson. Sox were pretty jovial before the game, having some laughs, doing a hand jive, and then Yoan Moncada crowns King Felix 2-0 after 1.
later in today's game.
And we'd like to welcome all our viewers watching on LaPorte City Telephone in LaPorte, Iowa. So I have a question. How do you watch on a city telephone?
It's difficult. Certainly the players are smaller.
Is it one phone for the city and then everybody kind of just sits there and you make hot chocolate and you all just watch on the one phone?
It's right around the town square. You might remember that.
I do.
Yeah.
Main Street leads to the town square.
Where Aunt B is just down the road.
Making pies for everyone. 2-0 on Seager. His counterpart at third, Yolmer Sanchez, playing in and all alone. If you have abandonment issues, you don't want to play on the infield anymore in Major League Baseball. You will get left for this very reason. Yoan Moncada for out number 1. And in case you're hungry for information, here's the menu for our broadcast this afternoon. Jose Abreu this day in White Sox history. Mike Trout loves Space Jam. And then we're going shopping, Steve.
Ooh, the swap meet. I like that.
Yeah.
Mike Trout's secret is he's really good. I mean, really good.
Don't ruin it.
Okay.
It's
well,
coming up.
I didn't want to give it away. I know that was your classic tease.
Other classic teas include oolong.
I met some guys before the game today who were in the tea business, as a matter of fact.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Here's Mitch Haniger, who is in the RBI business in terms of letters. He has 24 of them to lead the Mariners.
Coming over from the Diamondbacks, and a deal that also brought them Gene Segura, one of Jerry DiPoto's better moves. This is going to pay dividends for Seattle for quite some time. Haniger has got big power. He hits off a high leg kick.
There it is, and you can neutralize him some with the breaking ball.
And that's exactly what happens, because Edgar Martinez said that it all starts with the hands of Haniger. Yes, the high leg kick is there. Yes, you have to get it down before the ball. However, when you look at those numbers, you realize you can't get a fastball by him. You might as well try to trick him with an off-speed pitch.
1-2 from Shields. Breaking ball, 2-2. Haniger with those 24 driven in, just 3 off the major league lead of Didi Gregorius.
There's a look at Edgar. He is one of the smartest hitting gurus around. This guy was wonderful as a player. He's outstanding as a coach.
To right, Trace Thompson for out number 2. Your 2018 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate, your trusted teammate throughout the mortgage process. Experience the difference today at rate.com. 2 down for Ben Gamble, who's 2 for 7 in the series with a double in the opener Monday.
The Mariners feel that Gamble is going to get the majority of play. The only time he won't play is the real tough left-handers. But other than that, they would like to see him start the majority of the games.
We need to get you a Ben Gamble wig.
We'll use it on mullet night. Last year he had 275 for these Seattles.
That looks like California hair to me, but he's actually a Neptune Beach, Florida guy.
Got some talent, and they would love to see him develop.
Off speed downstairs, strike 3. Gamble kicks the ball away, and that's going to be it.
He is out. He cannot kick the ball away. If you could, it would be a great plan, but you can't, and so it's out of the inning, on to the next.
I was just thinking about the ramifications of that. Yikes. Downstairs, Chuck Garfien.
Yeah, I had a chance to speak with Robinson Cano. Yoan Moncada's idol in baseball is Robinson Cano, to the point where, well, they have the same swing. They play the same position. In fact, Yoan named his child after Robinson Cano. So I spoke with Cano, and he says that he believes that Yoan Moncada is going to be a superstar in this game. He says because he can do everything. Now, he's not doing everything all the time, and he says that's going to take some time to learn and mature. And once you get to know the pitchers more, he's saying this from experience, in time, Moncada will be a superstar in this game.
There is Cano to throw out Narvaez, out number 1.
And they didn't meet, believe it or not, until Monday. Monday's game, when Moncada was on second base, and they chatted for a little bit at second, and then before stretch yesterday, they spoke a little bit more, but it was kind of surprising considering they had spring training. You'd think somewhere along the line, and also Robinson knew that Moncada looked up to him like this. You'd figure that they would maybe have had some conversations, but no, the first conversations happened on this field this week. Isn't that kind of surprising?
It is. I would have guessed spring training, considering the Sox and Mariners play a bunch out in Arizona.
And I asked Cano about the strikeouts, because clearly the strikeouts are up right now with Moncada. Cano didn't really have that issue early on in his career, but one thing he said is, and this is what he would say to Moncada about the strikeouts, is to keep the game simple. Don't swing so hard, because then you find yourself chasing pitches. You want to make contact, use the whole field if you can. You do that, you end up minimizing the strikeouts. Easier said than done, but he really feels that in time, once you get to know the pitchers in this league, it takes 2 or 3 years, then you feel really comfortable, and that's when you're really going to see his numbers skyrocket.
Well, Chuck, taking a look at the first couple of years, Cano hit 14 home runs in 2005, and then he hit 15 home runs in 2006, respectively 62 and 78 runs driven in. So he didn't get close to 100 until his third year, 2007, with the Yankees. And Moncada has got more pure power than Robinson Cano. Robinson Cano is just a magnificent hitter. Didn't struggle too long. In fact, in his second year, he hit .342, and he led the American League. So this is a guy that could hit from the time he put on that uniform, but power-wise, Yoan's got a bit more.
In fact, I asked him who swings harder, you or Robinson, and he, without missing a beat, said, "Oh, Yoan actually hits the ball harder than I do. He's stronger than me, and he can do something that I can never do. He can run. I'm always slow. I've always been slow." He admires the speed of Moncada on the base paths.
Well, and if there's anybody that Yoan Moncada is going to listen to in this game, it would be Robinson Cano, who he has idolized for a long time. It's 2 down, and here is Moncada, who on the first pitch he saw hit an absolute rocket for a Sox lead.
Well, there is a school of thought. If a guy hits a first pitch home run on a fastball, then the hitter will go up and look for an off-speed pitch. I first heard that from one of the great players of all time. Willie Mays told me if he hit a home run on a fastball from a certain pitcher, he would go up looking breaking ball the first pitch next time. Let's see what Felix decides. And I think he wants a fastball away. He got it there. Good pitch.
To Chuck's point about the strikeouts, Robinson Cano didn't strike out more than 100 times in a year until his 11th major league season.
Different era, certainly. And we'll take a look at first inning, first ball, fastball, and way back. Exit velocity 108.5 miles an hour. Projected distance just 394. Not a warm day today. And on a warm day, the ball in this ballpark especially is very lively. But that one would have gone out of a lot of ballparks. And you see, blowing toward the right field corner, if you're going to hit it to right center or right.
Strike 3. Hernandez gets some piece of revenge in a 1-2-3 inning, 5 in a row, retired by King Felix.
about fulfilling his lifelong dream of playing for the White Sox and how the team threw him a lifeline by bringing him back. Visit NBCSportsChicago.com/podcast to subscribe today.
Chuck's churning out product, by the way. New podcast every day, it feels like.
He's nothing if not diligent.
Next one has Robinson Cano on it, talking about Yoan Moncada.
Meantime, James Shields has very good stuff today. Fastball looks like it has a little late life.
Good dip on the breaking ball. 0-2 on Zunino, the former college player of the year. Very highly thought of, and we've seen flashes of that certainly in the series.
He's looked good, and now that he's back from an oblique problem, he feels pretty good about it. And James did something that he's starting to do more of, and that is he throws that curveball, but his body moves to the left drastically, showing the hitter that the ball might be coming before it does. But
0-2. That is down the line and fair for Zunino into the corner. Nicky has trouble picking it up, and Zunino into second base. First hit for the Mariners comes in the third.
Back-to-back breaking balls, only this one was a little shorter, and Zunino able to go out and cover that last year. 25 doubles. And watch it again. He has decent spin, but it doesn't break as sharply as the last one. He goes out, pretty much guides it down the line. Good piece of hitting, staying with it. If the left side pulls out, you can't possibly have the coverage away. Vogelback, a dead pull hitter, and this is an ideal situation because he's got to move Zunino to third base with less than 2 outs.
There's a strike on the last sequence, the curveball from Shields.
And we'll take a look at the second strike and watch Shields' body. He falls off on the left side, and then the ball doesn't get there. It yields a foul ball. And the next one didn't break quite as sharply and yielded a double.
So as you're watching at home, what's your takeaway from that?
Well, the fact that he's going to try to deceive you. James is at the point where he's got to deceive you to get you out. He did it with raw stuff for a lot of years. I mean, you get 8 opening day starts. You 9 times go over 200 innings. You know how to do it. It's just a question of what his body at this point will allow him to do. And he's doing it with a lot of craft and guile and a tremendous amount of desire and intensity.
Right into the shift. Thank you very much. And one down here in the third.
Vogelback does everything right. Hits it as hard as you'd want. Hits it to the right side, but Moncada right there. So a good break for James Shields and the Sox.
Well, what we know about James Shields is he's going to take the ball whenever it's offered, and even sometimes when it's not.
And Yolmer in very close to third, taking away the bunt. Huge difference with Zunino at second base, because if he's at third, you pretty much have to bring the infield in. Now you get the luxury of playing back in the middle with Yolmer in and Jose at first, even with the bag.
James Shields, if you don't remember, in 2011 had 11 complete games, which is just such an outlier in this day and age in Major League Baseball. That's the most complete games in one season since Randy Johnson in 1999. Trace Thompson on the move toward the line, makes the catch. Zunino tagging from second into third, 2 down.
Well hit by Gordon. You want him to hit the ball in the air. This is a guy that lives and dies with his speed. He wants to beat the ball on the ground. James went up there with an idea. Let him hit the ball in the air. See how far he can hit it. And he hit it right far enough to get it to Thompson.
It's a little chilly out, but Segura is allergic to buttons today. Going with the open air look.
They're just so happy that it's not snowing anywhere in the Midwest that they're feeling pretty good about this. It's beach day.
The Mariners were in Minneapolis right before we were there, and some of the folks were telling stories about one of the coldest games in recent memory in Minneapolis. The Mariners were involved in that. It was so cold that the pitchers weren't even warming up in the bullpens. So the pitchers were warming up in the tunnel, in the cage, wherever they could find. And each dugout was having to call upstairs to the press box and say, hey, here's who's warming up, because nobody could see. So both teams could know who was warming up. That's how cold it was in Minneapolis. But they at least played their games.
Yeah, we saw how cold it could get there and how much snow can fall.
Ripped to left field on a hop and clanging off Nicky. So that'll get an extra base for Segura, and the Mariners are on the board. It's 2-1.
I think that should be a two-base hit. That was a sinking rocket. It's ruled a base hit, E7. I mean, he's coming in to catch this ball. He's got no chance on this one. This one comes up, hits him in the wrist. I think maybe they'll revisit that. In the meantime, it's a run one way or the other.
The only argument you could make, I think, to counter it would be that Nicky didn't have a chance to catch the ball at all, so you should play it back. And if you do, it's only going to be a one-base hit.
Well, but that's easy to say from here. On the field, you're seeing a sinking line drive. You don't know how much it's sinking. He believed he had a shot to catch it, and by the time he could pull up, he got eaten up by it. So I don't think Nicky's going to win the Gold Glove anyway, so I think that the end result is he's on second base one way or the other. The run scores one way or the other. We've got ourselves a 2-1 game.
And Robinson Cano at the plate. Take a little bit low, 2-0.
You got your choice here. You're falling behind 2-0 to one of the league's dangerous hitters in Cano. Came in hitting .321. Drew a base on balls the first time up. You've got a righty-righty matchup in the on-deck circle with Nelson Cruz. I would assume that James is going to be very careful with a very tough hitter.
At ball 3.
I would think, if I'm Scott Service and I have Robinson Cano on my team, I would give him the 3-0 green light
The
here.
brightest green you can think of.
If he likes it, and you got a zone hit, just because you have the 3-0 green light doesn't mean it's a must swing. You're so far ahead, it's a swing if you like it.
Ball 4.
And that is how you pitch around a very dangerous hitter. But going back to, you were talking about the fact that guys couldn't warm up in the bullpens. Years ago, there was a place called Candlestick Park, which is now gone, and the Giants play in China Basin. However, Bob Gibson, Hall of Famer from the St. Louis Cardinals, went out one night, and it was a very cold night. Of course, leads you to Mark Twain, and the coldest I've ever been was the summer in San Francisco. He went out, took 4 warm-up pitches. They were all knuckleballs, and went out that night and shut out the Giants. 4 warm-up pitches, all knuckleballs, which he didn't throw. It's just that he thought it was ridiculous to be out there and felt that he would be better served someplace else. He did, and that was that. That might have been in '68, when, by the way, he had a 1.12 ERA to lead the National League.
What's truly amazing is so many pitchers, you included, have said, I never know, based on what I do in the bullpen before the game, how I'm going to do out on the field. It's amazing that it still happens.
You really don't know, because some days you're throwing in the bullpen and you absolutely have unbelievable stuff for whatever reason. Curveball is there, slider is there, the fastball has a little life to it. You get out on the mound. Somewhere between that bullpen and the mound, you just completely lose it. But there's also another factor. The pitcher is the only player that warms up at another spot other than where he is going to do his job. Everybody else, when they take ground balls, when they take batting practice, when they take fly balls, they're in the spot they're doing their job. The pitcher is not, and although everybody tries to get the mounds uniform, the fact is they're not. They have little different idiosyncrasies, and so it takes a while to adjust.
How many warm-up pitches do you actually need, though, is my point. If Gibson can go out, throw 4 knuckleballs just to say, well, I did it and I'm done, how many do you actually need in the bullpen?
Well, it absolutely depends on the pitcher. There's some relievers that get ready quickly, but those guys play long toss before the game. They run a lot. They do different things to make sure that they're loose before they go to the mound. Starting pitchers have a routine. How many pitches depends on how you feel on a given day. But you never really know. It varies from pitcher to pitcher.
Breaking ball, and Cruz lays off. Zunino a leadoff double, then back-to-back outs. Segura's hit, Cano's walk, and 2-2 on Cruz.
Segura's hit was a big one because with 2 outs and still a shutout, he came through with a big base hit.
Check swing again, and he didn't go. 3-2.
By the way, Shohei Ohtani joined Luis Severino as the only starting pitchers to crack the 100-mile-an-hour barrier this season. Both of them with a pair of 100.1 miles an hour pitches. Absolutely amazing. And Ohtani becoming the story of this year, and if it works, both hitting and pitching, he might be the story of baseball since Babe Ruth.
3-2. Through the right-hand side, a base hit for Cruz. Segura ties the game, 2-2.
That's 8 driven in for Nelson Cruz as he takes it through the left side. This is a good location for that fastball with Cruz through the vacated right side. A base hit. So 2 runs in the inning, ties the game at 2. Don Cooper now taking the leisurely stroll out from the dugout to talk with James Shields and the rest of the infield.
And while Don Cooper jaunts out to the mound, we remind you can join the Sox Sunday, May 6th. It's Nurse Appreciation Day presented by St. Xavier University. All Illinois nurses and their families and friends can enjoy a specially priced ticket package, which includes a game ticket and a White Sox scrub top for the first 1,500 fans. To buy tickets, visit whitesox.com/nurse or call 866-SOX-GAME. You're talking about Ohtani. 101 miles an hour plus multiple times since pitch tracking started 10 years ago. It's 7 pitchers. Irvin Santana, Justin Verlander, Andrew Kashner, Yordano Ventura, Nate Eovaldi, Noah Syndergaard, and Ohtani.
Pretty amazing, actually. Especially when you look at his curveball, because a curveball is the only pitch that goes up out of your pitcher's hand. The only pitch, so a hitter identifies it when he sees it. However, with Ohtani and Corey Kluber, to a certain extent, they can throw one that looks like a fastball, identified to the hitter as a fastball, and then disappears. Both of them have that kind of velocity. Ohtani has bigger velocity than Kluber.
Seager loads and swings through a breaking ball, 0-2.
Take a look at Seager and watch his hands. He has created a hitch for himself, and a lot of people don't believe you can hit like that. Seager, who tinkers with his stroke routinely off-season to off-season, decided to implement that last little hitch in the swing. He believes it's going to work. If you believe it, it usually happens. If it doesn't, he can still switch back. He's a quality hitter who's adopted something that most hitters won't use, and we'll see if it works for him. We'll see if it works on his breaking ball down.
Stayed up for a while and looped inside. 1-2 on Seager. Three straight base runners, Segura, Cano, and Cruz. And runners at first and third for the Mariners in a 2-2 tie in the third. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Finishes the inning. We're tied here in the third. Sox and Mariners. Sizzling at the ballpark. Cy Young winners since 2010. The decade started with Felix Hernandez and some big-time names there, including Kluber twice.
I'm not sure if Corey Kluber is done. He's that good a pitcher. David Price is back and healthy. Max Scherzer throwing it pretty well. Dallas Keuchel off to a tough start because his team doesn't score many runs, but a notable list.
Why didn't we have 1980 up there?
It was so long ago. Who can remember back that far?
I know your memory's a little hazy.
The 70s. It cleared up in the decade of the 80s.
Yolmer tags this one to right center, and he is on. Second hit for Sanchez.
Yolmer waited back just long enough to get that straight change. We'll watch it again. There's the change. And he catches it off the end of the bat, but gets enough of it to guide it into center field. D. Gordon can't get to it, and Yolmer's 2 for 2.
Last Sox Cy Young winner was 1993 and Jack McDowell, 10 years after Lamar Hoyt did it in '83.
Here's a situation where Jose has never had any luck with Felix Hernandez. He came into this one 2 for 14. Now he's 2 for 15 with that pop out in the first inning. That does not have any bearing on this particular at bat because Jose gets up for the challenge of some of the best pitchers in baseball, loves particularly to hit against Cy Young Award winners. And this is a big challenge for him. So far, Felix has had way the best of it.
Ball and a strike.
And hitters will tell you there's just some guys they cannot pick up the baseball. It's not stuff that gets him out. It's deception. And it's change of velocity. And these days, Felix is using 2 different speeds of changeup. Jason told you about the velocity being well down on the changeup this year, coinciding with the velocity of his fastball.
Jose with that 4-hit night in the opener of this series. He was 4 for 5, couple of home runs, tying career highs in both hits and homers. He was giving Yohan Moncada some grief after the first game when he almost had the cycle. He said he was disappointed in him.
Yeah, a terrible night.
Two and 1 from Felix Hernandez. And a new baseball bat is on the horizon for Mr. Abreu.
That one was a slider, and he wanted to throw it outside. He got it inside. Jose caught it off the end of the bat.
Three balls and 2 strikes. Felix Hernandez, now 32 years old, made his major league debut the year the Sox won the World Series, 2005.
Jose's only struck out twice career-wise against Felix. Nice time to send Yolmer to try to stay out of the double play. Let's see if Ricky Renteria decides that movement is the key here.
Yolmer runs. Abreu hits it to left field. Gamble is underneath. One down for Delmonico. There's no better way to watch a White Sox game than in premium seating. Enjoy first-class amenities in our all-inclusive club areas or private suites. For more information, 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. Nicky Delmonico now walking up to Staying Alive.
Not a bad idea. Could pick worse songs, like your choice of Lawrence Welk for your walk-up song.
A 1 and a 2.
Yeah.
And ball number 1.
There's a look at Nicky. There's a look at the numbers. The shift on. Only Seager on the left side, and he's in at the cut of the grass to take away a prospective bunt.
To the left side and a base hit. Sanchez to second, 1 down, 2 on. Nicky's put together some quality at-bats this year.
Done a nice job in the opportunities he's had. This is a changeup. He stays right with it. You can see the spin of the ball. You can see where Felix throws the changeup, how he grips it. It's most unusual. It's not a circle change, which is pretty much gripped with the last 3 fingers. He actually throws it between his middle and the ring finger on his right hand and seems to get good movement away from left-hand hitters. But that one stayed up a little higher than he would have liked.
Tim drove in a run, scoring Sanchez in the first. This is foul at third. Tim caught stealing for the first time this year in this series. We have seen all kinds of rundowns as we showed you in the open. Some well executed, some less well executed.
The ideal rundown is 1 throw. You can make it 1 throw. That's what you're looking for. And ideally, you want to run him back to the base where he came from.
That was a Greg Sparks disciple, I think, in the crowd. Sparky, the Sox assistant hitting coach, is a huge Batman fan to the point that he seen pictures. I wasn't here at the time, but he brought the bat suit into the clubhouse a couple of years ago. There's a rocket to left, and it falls in front of Gamble. It was hit so hard, Sanchez had to hold up, and now Daniel Palka with a chance for his first major league hit with the bases loaded.
Tim Anderson's always had good luck against Felix. This is no exception. 2 for 2. That was a rocket. Gamble played it well. Now Palka with a chance to record his first run batted in and an opportunity to get his first major league hit.
He takes here after swinging at the first pitch he saw in the first, and talking to him yesterday, he basically said, I keep asking myself, is this actually happening to me?
Well, there you look at the numbers at AAA, and they were pretty good.
Topped foul, 0-2 on Palka.
There's a lot of guys who top out at AAA. They're tantalizingly close to the major leagues. They just can't get there. And there's other guys who get an opportunity because you never know when it comes along, and you're grinding to make the most of that opportunity.
First base side, and Palka will get a run home with this ground ball. So his first major league RBI gives the Sox a 3-2 lead.
Palka did a great job of just staying alive and making contact. This is a changeup away, and he realized he had to have some contact. Down 0-2. Felix puts a tag on. And that is run batted in number 1 in what hopefully will be a long career for the young man who has got to be ecstatic.
"26 years old, his first major league time, coming over from the Twins after being drafted out of Georgia Tech. And the Sox take the lead thanks to the rookie. Trace Thompson takes a called ball 1. Certainly hope somebody saved the ball for Daniel Palka. Get it authenticated.
I would think so. Alex Felix wouldn't give it up.
Just kept it
He
stuck in
caught
his
it.
pocket.
He made the tag and figured, I'm going to keep this one.
That actually would not be a bad idea. If you're a pitcher who happens to give up some firsts in your career, you keep it and make the guy pay you for it.
That's good. Nice thought. Way to monetize it.
Yeah, we're just trying to monetize our content. Well, I mean, we've heard about that in terms of jersey numbers. Guys will come up and they'll, or get traded, and they'll say, hey, can I have that number? And then, you know, they'll make a deal.
Yep.
Video game system.
I was frequently asked for mine because it was number 32, and a lot of people had that in various places.
A lot of people asked for your number.
They did. As a matter of fact, one was a young White Sox outfielder who came up and got here and had been in the big leagues at that point for, I don't know, 8 years or so, and he said, you know, I always wore number 32, and it's my number, and could I have your number? And I said, yes. When you get more than 10 minutes in the major leagues, we'll talk.
And then you became the best of friends.
No, he was a terrific guy. We did become friends, but he didn't wear 32.
He does.
He does indeed. There it is. I wore it because of Sandy Koufax, a man that I idolized, but not because of his ability on the field, which everybody knew, one of the greatest of all time. It's because of what he did and how he carried himself away from the field.
Trace to right. Haniger is there. Well, look, it's not a StatCast superhero. There's no cape attached to it, but it got the job done, and it will be in his mind forever. First RBI, Daniel Palka.
Well, it is Dollar Dog Day today, and so Jason has one of those that you might want to take. Now, they might be a little chilly by the time you get them. I, of course, have some Luden's watermelon. You can have this also for the right price, of course, and you have to be smart enough, quick enough, and get the right answer first. Then you can win Sox math.
There's a strike. Matt Davidson is checked in to play first base. Flu-like symptoms for Jose Abreu, so he is out of the ball game. Quick broadcaster tip: if you're going to take a bite of the hot dog, do it on tape.
And also, it would behoove you to make sure that it's not ice cold from 4 innings ago.
Your veteran leadership knows no bounds. That's
It's the least I could do, and you know that that's exactly what I do.
Look out.
But that's wonderful that the screen protected the fans. These days it's a little bit further down than it ever was, but when that comes back, pinwheeling back, not a happy sight. So Haniger probably thinking about the hammer toss in the next Olympics. Lets it go.
Well, we had synchronized dodging earlier from the Sox and Nick Capra and Yolmer Sanchez, and now Haniger chips a breaking ball foul. 3 out of 9 in this series for Haniger. Came in slugging at .692. OPS over 1,000.
Haniger's always very dangerous. This should not be a great matchup for him because James throws a steady diet of off-speed pitches, and then he shows you that show-me fastball. See the 5th pitch. That's not meant to be hit. That's up in the eyes, making it tantalizingly close, but you can't handle the ball up there very well.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Haniger. Sox retaking the lead on the Daniel Palka RBI ground out in the bottom of the 3rd. 2-2. Oh, wave and a miss. Strike 3. 4th punch out for Shields. And here is your Sox math question for the end of the series. Hashtag Sox math on Twitter. First correct answer wins a prize from the prize shelf. Runs in yesterday's game plus the number of letters in Daniel Palka's home state. Can you beat such 2 is the question. You got it?
Me?
Yeah.
I have to recuse myself.
Here's ball number 1. You have a conflict of interest?
Well, being a math major and all, I can't. I don't think that it would be fair to participate in this. Plus, I don't want to take my own cough drops.
Ball to strike on Gamble. We were talking about that head of hair that he has, and the Mariners evidently a couple weeks ago had a promotion of Ben Gamble Cap Night, which was a Mariners hat with Ben Gamble's hair flowing from it.
Well, in order to do that, you have to have a player who's going to be around for a while. Otherwise, it's hair today, gone tomorrow, and they don't want to have a promotion like that in the major leagues.
It's true. Nobody would go for such a poor pun.
Yes, I would. That is definitely not beneath me.
It made me think of the video of Wimpy doing the promotion for Funny Nose Glasses Night with the Mariners. In the air left side, Tim Anderson for out number 2.
Breaking down the biggest stories surrounding your teams, join Ozzie Yee and Doug Glanville and Layla Rahimi for Baseball Night in Chicago tomorrow night at 6:30 on NBC Sports Chicago. We like to promo it as a rose between 2 thorns.
They could also call it hazard pay.
Especially with Ozzie. That should be a challenge for Layla. She'll do a fine job.
Tipped foul by Zunino, who doubled and scored in the 3rd.
When a pitcher drops down sidearm with a fastball, he does not want to leave the ball middle in because he's trying to get some give from the hitter. If the hitter gives it all, opens up the right side, and you leave it middle in, that's the one that gets torched.
This is a 1-2-3 inning for James Shields. Well, I guess evidently the truck is having fun with me saying I should do it on tape. Love you guys, sorta. your, pardon me, into your X1 voice remote and get live team stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1.
Would you like a watermelon?
Man,
Would you like a watermelon lozenge? I think it's that hot dog stuck in your throat.
Thanks for that.
Well, you never know.
Omar Narvaez, Adam Engel, and Yohan Moncada here in the fourth from Felix Hernandez. And Omar to left field. And Gamble for out number 1. Here's your Sox math answer, and we have a new winner. Two-part question today. 1 run in yesterday's game. Polka was born in South Carolina, so 13. 1 plus 13 equals 14. Young, Wild, and David is your winner. Young, Wild, and David. Congratulations. One down for Adam Engel, who grounded out in the second inning, part of a 1-2-3 second for Felix Hernandez.
Top of the 5th inning in Houston. Justin Verlander up to his old tricks. His ERA below 1 coming in. He has a no-hitter with 1 out in the top of the 5th inning. And he's leading 3-0. So Verlander, who showed very well here, has had a very good year. He's doing it in a big game for Houston against their rival, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Both teams have won 16 games. Houston's lost 1 more than the Angels.
Early big series, one of the biggest so far in Major League Baseball this year, first couple of weeks in. 3-1 on Engel.
Well, now Adam has the luxury of looking fastball because he does have some speed. You don't want him on to lead off the inning. Took a little something off that, although at 89, that's about where he's going to top out on the fastball. But he kept it down, and Engel was able to foul it off. There is Dollar Hot Dog Day.
Very good.
They are delicious.
3-2. That breaks in there for strike 3 and 2 down. So Yohan Moncada is 22 years old, and here's a list of the folks at age 22 who did not get a day off in their age 22 seasons. A couple names you're familiar with. If you're a Sox fan, Dick Allen in 1964, Cal Ripken Jr. 1983, and then a lot more guys in recent memory. So this trend started more recently, and Moncada we have not seen get a day off as yet for Ricky Renteria.
He battled through a nicked up hamstring, and he's out there each and every day, and there's a certain amount of comfort for any manager when they can write the name in the lineup that usually inhabits that position.
I think it speaks to the young talent that's been infused into the game as well. The fact that this has been happening so much more in the past decade and a half.
I just love the fact that they're allowing guys to play all 162. You're 22, 23, 24 years old. I'm not sure you need a day off. Now, if you're injured, that's a different story. But just as far as getting a day off to get a day off, a lot of young guys just don't want to. And of course, Cal Ripken never wanted to.
Strike 3 from Hernandez. He's got a 1-2-3 inning. We'll go to the 5th. figured we'd go around Major League Baseball. Mike Trout with his 10th home run of the season at Houston last night. It leads Major League Baseball. And here's him taking a drink a couple of days ago. It says Michael's Secret Stuff. And if that looks familiar, if you're a Michael Jordan fan, I assume many of you are, it's a reference to Space Jam, the movie, when Jordan would drink from something marked just like that. So Mike Trout not only has whatever's in that jar, but he's got a sense of humor too.
He also has a pretty good stroke to all fields, as we've seen. So if he could market that secret stuff, I think things would go very well for him.
Talent, I think, is mostly
talent in abundance. Yeah, he and Bryce Harper, two of the great stars, maybe once in a generation players to come up almost simultaneously. They were a bit apart, but great players. And Bryce Harper is going to be a free agent.
Yes, he is. And, you know, those two guys couldn't be much more different in terms of how they handle things and how they carry themselves. Harper is a little bit more of a firebrand, and Mike Trout comes from humble beginnings, and his parents are his business managers and all of that. But they both end up such sterling high-level talents for Major League Baseball, and it's fun to see two totally different types of people having grand success.
Well, that's the debate. I mean, you want to have a debate with some of your friends or some of your acquaintances when you might meet in an adult beverage environment. You talk about who you'd rather have. You're starting a ball club. Who would you rather have, Mike Trout or Bryce Harper? It kind of depends on whether you want the right-hander or the left-hander. Harper was a catcher that Mike Rizzo, who drafted him when he did with the Washington Nationals, said, no, you're going to the outfield. I want you to play every day. I don't want you getting nicked up behind the plate.
Here's a bunt, first base signed by D. Gordon, and 2 on, nobody out for the Mariners.
That's a problem if he gets the ball on the grass, because there has to be great coordination between Moncada at second, between James Shields, and between Matt Davidson. So we'll take a look, and when you have the speed of D. Gordon, you cannot afford a mistake. And it wasn't that there was a mistake, it was something that you think over beforehand. If this guy bunts it this way, no chance at all for Moncada to get there. And then again, it's just a perfect bunt. He can flash by Davidson, and Shields cannot get to the bag.
Yeah, that's one of those two where you can have as many pre-situation discussions as possible, but if he lays down that type of bunt, it's big trouble. Right center, Engel gets over to make the play. And Vogelback on his way to third.
There are some guys at first base, especially the speed guys, who would take a look and watch if Engel or Thompson were going to set up for the catch. I think he's being talked to right now about not being on second base. He decided to go a third of the way, maybe halfway down, thinking maybe the ball was going to fall. But if you read the fly ball, the arc of the ball, the way the center fielder is going to it, in this case Adam Engel, you got to be standing at second, because right now you got a double play situation from a guy who hits the ball hard but doesn't run well, and you've got your speed burner at first base. Now, you can pick Gordon off first base here. James Shields has one of the great moves. Gordon wants to get to second, knowing that he probably should have been there anyway. This might be the time to pick him off at first base.
And the throw on to first. Take a look at the fly ball.
Now, when this ball is hit, Gordon, he's going halfway. As soon as he sees that Engel's going to make the play easily, which he is, you hustle back to the bag and get to third base. He didn't do it, and it does keep the double play in order.
Throw to first. Just safe. Gordon does get back.
Almost got him.
D. Gordon's mind has to be swirling with thoughts. If he knows, which he very likely does, he should be at second base. Now Shields going over it twice in a row.
Well, a lot of pitchers will watch as a base runner takes his lead off, and about the third step, and most guys use a slide step, about the third step, they go over to first base. But to do that, you have to have the ball in your hand, and James right now has the ball in the glove. See, 1, 2, there's the third step. As he's taking the lead, or sometimes on the way up, you go to first base.
Pop up. Exactly what James Shields needed. Anderson is there, 2 down.
Big pitch, the off-speed pitch, and Cano caught it off the end of the bat. This a big out. There's the cutter. He catches it off the end of the bat, and nothing going on.
Cano had walked twice, and Shields didn't give him anything close the second time around. Now 2 gone for Nelson Cruz. Since 1998, he's been in pro baseball. He signed as a free agent out of Monte Cristi in the Dominican by the Mets in 1998, 20 years ago.
Right now, he's not feeling real good. We talked about the leg and foot problems for Nelson Cruz, and right now the trainer's coming out to have a word with him. Well, we're taking a look at Nelson Cruz. I love when young, great players come to the major leagues, and we're going to see one that's coming up with the Atlanta Braves.
Yep.
That is the #2 prospect in all of baseball, and it's Ronald Acuna. There's a very good chance when he comes up, unless he struggles mightily, he's going to be up to stay. This guy, he is really good. We heard about it in spring training. We've seen him on occasion, and the National League is going to see him up close and personal starting tonight in left field. Ronald Acuna Jr.'s major league debut tonight.
Up the middle and through. It's a base hit for Nelson Cruz, so evidently he's feeling okay. The Mariners tie the game once more at 3 this time.
Well, if he's not, I think they're going to use a pinch runner for him. But we'll have to wait and see. If he's feeling good, well, then he'll stay there. And I would suggest, if I could, that Scott Service take him out of the game because his bat is too good. You don't want to risk his leg.
Yeah, it's a long season, right? It's a long play.
Yeah, play him when he leaves town, but apparently Scott is going to leave him in.
On the subject of Acuna, there was a great picture from the Futures game when he was there with the Sox second baseman, Yoan Moncada. They were standing next to each other, and for the Lion King fans out there, the picture said Acuna Moncada instead of Hakuna Matata. It's a wonderful phrase.
Yeah, you see, you'd have to identify the Lion King as something other than a newsreel.
Yeah, I don't think Simba was an anchor. 1-0 on Seager. Tie ball game at 3. Mariners have gotten a couple of big 2-out hits in this game. Segura and Cruz twice with 2-out runs driven in. There's the communication between the base runners. Gordon and Cruz talking to each other from second to first. .86 pitches now for James Shields with Cruz and Gordon on.
Seager last year had 27 home runs, drove in 88. The average was a little lower than he would like, but he's a quality hitter, and he's going to figure this out. Struggling in the early going.
Off the plate, ball 4, bases loaded.
Don Cooper coming out. Talk about what they want to do with Mitch Haniger.
And while we have the opportunity, we remind you that you can grab your friends and head to the park for Bleachers and Brews. Get a bleacher ticket and 2 domestic beers for just $22 to select upcoming games. You must be 21 and over with a valid ID. To buy tickets to select upcoming games, visit whitesox.com/brews.
Well, the Mariners are missing Ryan Healy. That's one of the big factors as they try to battle and stay relevant in the West, which of course they're going to do because they are a good team. They're going to be better when Ryan Healy comes back, and he's progressing enough that they expect him to rejoin the team sometime this weekend in Cleveland. Not going to be an easy task, as Scott Service realizes that the team is better when everybody is back together again, and Healy's coming along quickly, and the Tribe should see him on the shores of Lake Erie. Probably going to be very warm there.
Oh, you would think so, yeah. Sox are actually in store, it seems, for a heat wave in Kansas City and St. Louis. Highs in the 60s and 70s from what I've read.
Well, I'll have to retire my jacket.
Haniger takes a breaking ball called strike one.
Always a break. That one just a bit outside, but you can certainly take it, and runs batted in. Jason told you about Gregorius earlier. He got Lowry off to a great start with Oakland, as is Davis. We saw them up close and personal.
To right field, Trace Thompson. And the Mariners leave him loaded. 6 stranded by Seattle so far, 3-3 the tie. The 5th inning, Sox and Mariners. It'll be Sanchez, Davidson, and Delmonico coming up. Sox keep taking the lead. The Mariners keep scoring just enough to tie. So 2 in the first for the Sox, then 2 in the third for the Mariners. As you saw, Sox 1 in the third, Mariners 1 this inning. And Yolmer Sanchez has had a mighty fine run for the Sox recently. He's 5 out of 10 in this series. Felix Hernandez, who drew comparisons when he was younger to former Sox pitcher, former Mariners pitcher Freddie Garcia, to the point where people were calling him Little Freddie when he began his career. And though you wouldn't imagine that posters can create osmosis or pitching motions, Felix Hernandez grew up with posters of Freddie Garcia in his room.
Could have done a lot worse. Freddie had some great moments in his game, and he spent a lot of time plying his trade.
That's in there for strike 3, 1 away. As we check in with Chuck Garfien.
I'm having a great conversation here with Daniel Palka's parents. It's Mike Palka and Denise Palka, who got the word, 11:30 at night a couple of nights ago, that your son was going to be making his Major League debut at some point. You guys didn't sleep that first night, did you?
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
There's an interesting connection, by the way, I want to get on the air here with these guys. Well, before we get to that, I want to ask you just what's it like seeing your name on the scoreboard? Your son is making his Major League debut here today.
It's a thrill. It's a thrill and a blessing. It has been wonderful. The White Sox organization's been wonderful for him, and it's just been great.
So you guys are from South Carolina. Daniel grew up playing with someone who has quite the White Sox lineage.
Yes. Actually, it's I believe he played with, it's Joe Jackson's great nephew, I believe it is. They played when they were 9 and 10 years old. They were on the same team. And then they played against each other in high school ball also.
Shoeless Joe is from Greenville.
You guys are both from Greenville, South Carolina?
No, we are not. We're from Pennsylvania. We were originally Pirate fans, but now we're White Sox fans.
And so Daniel, you guys got here. Daniel came up on deck yesterday, potentially to tie the game or win it, didn't get a chance to play. But your thoughts now as you saw him get his first Major League RBI?
Yeah, that was great. Great moment. I'll short of a hit, I have no complaints. That we'll take it.
Okay. Jason, Steve, back up to you guys.
Wow, Dad's a tough critic, though. A run batted in is pretty good, and what a thrill for the parents. It's just a great day at the ballpark, and Daniel came up with a run batted in. You can't do a whole lot better than that, but he'll have an opportunity to maybe add on to that. And having my parents, not at my first game, but at a game that I pitched ironically in Pittsburgh, which is where the Palkers are from, it was kind of nice because I remember the excitement that they experienced that particular night, and I'm sure Daniel's parents feel the same way here this afternoon.
Baseball does run in the Palka family somewhat, certainly. Daniel's grandfather, Eugene, spent 2 years in the minors in the 50s, 54 and 55, in the Orioles farm system, and then eventually was inducted into the Beaver County, Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame for his work both on and off the field. Two and two for Nicky Delmonico as Davidson's at first with a 1-out single. Jose Abreu out of the game with flu-like symptoms today. Two and two. Even though Nicky floated a ball to left field for his hit in the third, the Mariners are shifting dramatically against him on the infield.
The outfield is exactly straight away. I would think that Matt would not be running here.
He doesn't. 3 and 2 is bounced foul. Anderson next, Palka to follow. Each team's won a game in this series so far. The Sox and Mariners for the series victory in this Wednesday matinee. Matt runs now. The pitch is outside, ball 4. Nobody covering third, so that's why Zunino hauled off that way. And 2 on, 1 out for Tim Anderson.
Tim's had a couple of very good at-bats against Felix Hernandez, sending Zunino to the mound to talk with Felix Hernandez.
Tim 2 for 2, 6 out of 10 in this series. He takes strike 1. It's really interesting. You look, and Daniel Polka, who just made his major league debut and he's standing on deck now, is one of the elder statesmen in the Sox lineup. Abreu at 31 starting the game and now out. Then Trace Thompson at 27. Polka's tied for third oldest in the lineup.
At
20.
There you go. A lot of young talent in the White Sox organization, not just here in the major leagues, but loaded up and down the minor leagues. The question is not if, but when we will get a look at them right here in Chicago or in the Sox uniform on the road.
Michael Kopech was very good in a day game today against Louisville, the AAA Reds. We'll have our full minor league report coming up later, but Kopech 6 innings of 1 hit ball, 8 strikeouts, and a 2.14 ERA in AAA.
Not surprising because he's dominant wherever he goes. Get some more innings in, get some situations. The secondary pitches sharpened up, which he's doing a good job of, and he will be here. The question is again when, not if.
Inside, shoves Anderson off the plate, 2-2.
Last year, Francisco Lindor led American League shortstops with 32 home runs. Anderson was 17.
On the ground, Segura the flip, Cano the turn, double play. Polka left on deck, still 3-3. Rate, and it's Zach Collins, who's always had a very good eye here. He strokes a 3-run double at Pensacola, and he drove in 4 for the game for AA Birmingham. So Zach Collins starting to hit the ball better in AA, the former Miami catcher. And here in the majors, James Shields is locked up in a tie with the Mariners into the 6th.
12 hits combined between the two teams. 1 error, that on our Sox. Other than that, not much to choose from to this point between these two clubs. In this series also tied at 1. This is the 3rd final and rubber game of the series as Gamel, yet to get untracked, comes up.
Sox have kept the Mariners bats fairly quiet in this series. Adams there for out number 1. Just 8 runs across for Seattle, with 1 yesterday, 4 in the opener, and the 3 this afternoon. Seattle came in to today 3 games back of the first place Angels in the division. They're trailing 4-0 at Houston this afternoon. Rockies are leading San Diego 1-0. That's a foul ball. Hey, Friday, May 4th, come see the Sox take on the Twins, 7:10 p.m. All fans are invited to stay for a spectacular postgame fireworks show presented by Magellan Corporation. Get your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. Oh, 2. Mentioned that Rockies score. A couple of days ago, some history as Jenny Kavner became one of the first females to do play-by-play in Major League Baseball. She was on the TV side for the Rockies.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah. First club actually to have a woman do play-by-play was the White Sox back in the 70s with Mary Shane, who was in the booth for a select group of games. Two.
If we were to stop the season right now, the interesting part about looking at the standings would be offensively, the top 6 teams are in contention for the wild card or leading their divisions. Pitching, the top 8 teams leading the wild card or in contention for winning the division, and fielding, the top 6 teams. So if you can swing it a little bit, but if you can pitch it and catch it, you're going to be right there among the league leaders or certainly contenders for the postseason. And we've seen, as far as throwing it is concerned, nobody throws it better than Houston, although Boston and Cleveland right there.
Red Sox have fallen slightly on hard times. They've dropped 3 in a row. That puts them at a paltry 17-5. Tough go of it.
2.80 ERA in that little bitty ballpark.
To right field, Thompson back, and the Mariners take their first lead into the bullpen for Zunino. 4-3 Seattle.
Mike Zunino just keeps getting better and better. We've seen him double down the line. We've seen him hit opposite field and take it out of the ballpark. That's his second, his third driven in, but bear in mind, he just reemerged in this lineup in this series. Ford home run replay. It's outside. It's about thigh high, and it's gone. We saw him hit a titanic home run to left field. Now he shoves it to right field and takes it out of the park, aided by that friendly wind.
Here's Vogelback, who takes a strike, coating the outside corner. Yeah, Mike Zunino has looked like he's seen the ball very well.
I think it was the struggles, and he's been through a lot of them, going up and down and up and down. After being a #1 draft pick of these Seattle Mariners, he has figured it out. He's going to be better than he is today, and he's still one of the best catchers in all of baseball. So for those of you who haven't heard a whole lot about him, could be because he plays many of his games very late at night in the Pacific time zone. You're going to hear more. He is really a good one in every aspect of the game.
In the air, center field. Engel is there for out number 2.
You know, that home run that Shields gave up, only his second of the season. His first one came all the way back on opening day, and James was someone who was giving up a lot of home runs earlier in his career. He gave up 40 in 2016, 27 last year. But for James Shields, they've been going down, just 2 so far.
Yeah, and the first one was 4 batters into the season. It was Lucas Duda's 3-run homer with a run already in. And so that certainly is good news from Chuck. D. Gordon, who had a bunt single last time, is 1 for 3. You know, it's interesting with more fly ball outs. There was some question, hey, why would you take D. Gordon if you have a center field problem? Why would you make him the guy that you pinpointed? And part of the reason certainly has to be that there are just more fly ball outs now in Major League Baseball, more fly balls in general. So if you have somebody who's athletic, you may not want to use his talents on the infield where they won't be deployed nearly as much.
Could very well be.
Left field, Nicky Delmonico is there for out number 3. Get out your tote bag. Get out your credit card. We're going shopping after this. The swap meet, senior purveyor Chris Kapka. Which one do you want, the left or the right?
Well, it would be, normally you would take the left. Normally. But knowing Chris's propensity to throw in some sort of a change, I like the WAR at 14.6. And I like just about everything else, so I would normally take the left, and I will take the left.
You are. Polka pop-up on the first pitch. And Vogelback is there.
Who do you take?
Well, I have the one that you didn't take, so I get the person with the higher WAR, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
I would think that that would be a tremendous advantage for you as we move along through the aging process, whoever that is.
That was a caught stealing issue, though, up at 41% for my guy.
Well, speed obviously is not his long suit.
But decision-making may not have been the long suit, is what we'll come to see. Trace Thompson takes downstairs. Felix Hernandez has been fairly economically sound this afternoon. 86 pitches through 5 1/3. Two walks, both of Nicky Delmonico, 5 strikeouts, and 1 home run allowed for Felix Hernandez. Trace takes again, 3 balls, no strikes.
Sox bullpen up and going. I would think that's likely to be it for James Shields, but we'll see how James feels, because at this point of his career, Don Cooper and Ricky Renteria are going to ask him if he can go any longer, but with the bullpen up and going now, you'd think that that would be it. Gregory Infante throwing in the pen. Since he's come back from AAA, he's thrown it very well. And in a very tough and tight ball game, hopefully that continues.
Chopper foul, 3-2.
By the way, Felix used a quick pitch then, and we're seeing more and more of that. We see Joaquim Soria using that a lot. A lot of the pitchers, James Shields will use that a lot. A lot of the veteran pitchers who are looking for an edge in deception are going to use that quick pitch.
Segura is underneath. Let's see what we bought. To the cash register at the swap meet. You have the guy on the left, I have the guy on the right. Let's see. What do we have? A.J. Pierzynski and Ron Karkovice.
Yeah, once again, you're on the short end of that. Although Ron Karkovice was a terrific catcher, and we know speed was not a big part of his game.
Oh, the caught stealing is who was better at apprehending runners. And of course, it was
Karkovice was terrific at that. I thought it was his stealing because he had tremendous speed. But the rest belongs to A.J.
How about that? Higher WAR in his Sox career, Ron Karkovice over A.J. Pierzynski. Who would have ever thought that was true?
Well, apparently Chris Kamka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a recency bias.
But still, if you were going to make a trade even up, who would you take?
I'd take Karkovice. I just did.
Really?
No, I love A.J. I think he's very good at both catching and broadcasting. But I have Ron Karkovice. That's who I bought. I got to stick with him.
Well, I'm going to take that ring that A.J. has and glue it up on his mantle, and we'll be satisfied with that.
May you always be satisfied.
I think that we should get a look at some of the contestants beforehand to make it a little bit easier, because you seem to be trailing with a lot of these picks.
That's a complete arbitrary decision.
That's just an observation.
Strike three. Felix Hernandez has fanned 6. Sox trail by a run after 6 today.
That's tomorrow at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Bridgeport. Fun starts at 5:30 with a taping of Beer Money, followed by Sports Talk Live on location, and then watch live NFL draft reaction with Lawrence Holmes and Alex Brown. The new pitcher coming in the ballgame, it is Gregory Infante. He started out slowly this year. You look at the ERA, but the last couple of times since being recalled from AAA, he's thrown it well. And in a one-run deficit, you've got to hold the opposition right there, but it's not going to be easy this inning. It's the heart of the order: Sakura, Cano, and Cruz, if anybody gets on Seager, and Haniger lurking in the background. So a tough inning for Gregory Infante. The last 2 times out, he's been equal to the task.
First pitch. Not much interest in swinging for Segura. We mentioned Felix Hernandez being referred to as Little Freddie early in his career because of Freddie Garcia, former Sox pitcher. Gregory Infante, married to Freddie Garcia's sister.
He's heir to the Garcia fortune.
Indeed.
That's a propitious marriage.
Breaking ball down, 2 balls and a strike on Segura. So James Shields, 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, all earned, 4 walks, and 4 strikeouts. All told.
Well, if her progeny will have Freddie's over-the-top curveball, they're going to be in pretty good shape.
Tim at short, rangy with an arm. Save the call.
What a play by Tim Anderson. Going well away from the throw. He's in short left field, and he almost made the play at first base. Segura having to hustle. He thought this was a base hit easily. But credit him because he's hustling all out. As Tim, with somewhat of a jump pass, almost gets there in time. What a play. Gregory thought he got him. Would have been a magnificent play. It was a great effort nonetheless.
So 1 on, nobody out for Robinson Cano.
Grounded into 3 double plays this year. The 4th would be welcome. Segura 3 out of 3 in stolen bases. These Mariners haven't been all that aggressive, but when they do run, they run successfully. They're 14 of 19.
Gregory's not been in, as you mentioned, much trouble at all since he came up from AAA, came back. 3 innings against the Astros, all scoreless.
He looked very good against them. He's flying open, and when you do fly open, if you're a right-hand pitcher and you're facing a left-hand hitter, everything's going to be up and away. Got to find a way to tuck in that left side. You can do it 1 of 2 ways. Try to show the hitter your number, which you're not going to be able to do, or try to touch your left shoulder to your chin. You can't do that either, but both ways you stay closed.
Runners off. Ball is low. Segura steals second.
Well, Scott Service knew the longer he waited around, with Cano's propensity to pull the ball and roll over, you risk the double play. So he decides to send him, gets a good break, tough ball to handle, and Omar can't. And Segura now 4 for 4. You impressed with Segura in this series?
Yeah, but not as much as I expected to be. I like him very much as a player, but it's some short at bats. Ball 4. 2 on, nobody out. Chuck?
It's a cool day here at the ballpark. 47 degrees, about 41 degrees wind chill. If you're in the sun, it feels a whole lot better. And we have some very smart White Sox fans here because, if you notice, it's kind of busy over here. A lot of White Sox fans on the third base side. Look over on the first base side. Everybody has pretty much left the first base side of the ballpark and have moved over here to the sun, where it's a whole a lot warmer. In fact, I'm looking at everyone who remains on the first base side, and they just look cold over there. I'm wondering why they remain there. They can just come over here where it's a lot warmer.
Well, Chuck, we would like you to do a story in depth on the first base side, if you would, please, because you look a little too warm right now, and I know we're used to seeing you with icicles dripping off your lips.
How about I do an inside look, a half-hour show on everyone in the cold? I
think that would be ideal.
Okay.
Better than Dog Day, your efforts with the gigantic Great Dane.
And I'll eat some cotton candy, too.
We'll call it In the Shadows with Chuck. 2 on, nobody out. Nelson Cruz. Ball number 1. Credit to the ushers, by the way, as well, because there have been times where I've been at a ballpark where even if you are in the level that you're supposed to be in, like say you're in the 500 level, but you're in the second to last row, and you want to go down to the first or second row, they'll check your ticket and say, hey, get out of here. This is one of those days where a little bit more lax is probably a good idea.
And we just love to see him at the ballpark, taking advantage of Dollar Hot Dog Day and enjoying the concession stand. It's probably the best in the business here at Guaranteed Rate Field. Cruz, a good man for 2, but he hits a lot of balls in the air.
Throw to second, they've got him leaning. Out! Segura picked off.
Good pickoff play with Moncada sneaking him back. Segura lost track of him. And he's out by plenty. Watch it again. It looked like he's going to steal third base. And he's out. Call by Chad Fairchild. Good pickoff. Throw is waiting for him. The tag is right there. That is a bad base running mistake, but a well executed pickoff between Yoan Moncada and Polanco. Excuse me. Infante.
We'll see Gregory Polanco coming up.
Yes, we will. Unfortunately, he's awfully good.
To left field, that pickoff is even bigger as this ball lands fair into the corner. Cano to third. Cruz into second.
That opens the door for a big inning. Unfortunately, Cruz does take it down the line. He's got 3 hits today. And this one, finding a soft spot to nestle. It rattles around, and pickoff looming large, especially if Infante can get out of the inning. But now they're putting Seager on and taking their chances with one of their hottest hitters, who hasn't done much today, but it doesn't diminish the start that he's off to, and that's Mitch Haniger.
Your thoughts on this one?
I like it.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
The counter would be that Seager's struggled.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Haniger's 0 for 3 today, 3 for 11 in the series. Just kind of feels like poking the bear. But there are certainly reasons.
Yeah, we'll see if the bear pokes back, but you got a guy who is certainly a good enough hitter, but also a guy that doesn't run particularly well, although he's 1 for 2 in stolen bases. So he's got a little speed. He is an outfielder, but maybe you can get the ground ball.
And the double play is certainly the reason to do it.
But it's one thing to make the move, and again, you have to evaluate the move before the fact. And I like the move, the righty-righty advantage, and a good curveball from Infante. I also like the fact that on a breaking ball at all, Haniger will hit the ball on the ground. But you're behind 2-0, and now it's a completely different at bat.
There's the first strike, 2-1.
Gregory running it up there 96, 97 miles an hour.
Curveball here.
Couldn't tell you.
He missed, 3-1.
Whatever you decide to throw, however, that's one you really have to hit with, because now you got a big problem. Because now you're probably going at him with a fastball. We do know one thing about Haniger. Doesn't matter who's throwing it. He'll be on the fastball. Doesn't mean he's necessarily going to hit it hard, but he's going to be on it. This looks like a breakie.
On 3-1. Right field, Trace Thompson rushing in on the move, and no tag from third. A bullet from Trace. Cano freezes. 2 down.
The advantage is Cano does not have big speed, and Trace Thompson had all the best of it. He was coming in. He's an athletic outfielder to begin with, and he was very shallow, and that's going to be it for Infante. So Ricky Renteria making the move that still keeps him loaded, but now there are 2 outs.
Seattle does have a switch hitter and a right-hander on the bench. Aaron Bummer comes out of the bullpen, and he will face, at least for now, Ben Gamble. We told you earlier about our minor league report. Got a chance last week to sit down with Dylan Cease, one of the top prospects in the Sox farm system, and we talked about a number of things, including what he does on minor league baseball bus rides.
How do you kill time on a minor league bus? Man, the bus rides haven't been too long, fortunately. A lot of the guys are playing Fortnite. They're bringing TVs and their gaming systems. Me, I kind of just wear it. I need to find a way.
You just like sit there and stare?
I'll sit on my phone or, you know, try to lay on the ground and just close my eyes. Yeah.
Wait, lay on the ground on the bus?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to sit. You don't want to sit like this for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, but you like stepped on.
Yeah, it's a risk. I mean, everything's got a risk to it.
Are there like 4 people on the dash bus laying down, or is it just you?
No, you got people laying everywhere.
How about that? Dylan Cease on the bus is just the guy lying on the ground with like the used bubble gum and who knows what.
That's what you have to do on those long bus rides. You never really know. We were allowed in the Texas League. They said the starting pitcher could lay on the back bench of the bus, the farthest seat in the back, which sounded a lot better than it was because the engine was right there. And you sat back sweating like a wildebeest, getting to the next city, which is sometimes 16 hours away. It was not a big advantage, but that was a starting pitcher's lot, and that's what we did on the buses.
How about that?
So Aaron Bummer comes into this one. Time now for the Lakeside Bank call to the pen. It's about time. And Aaron Bummer comes in with some difficulty. 0-1. ERA at 6 3/4. On for the 12th time. He's been a busy man. He is a situational left-hander. And he goes head-to-head with Gamble.
First pitch, a strike. So Infante 2/3 of an inning, 2 walks, 1 intentional, 2 hits. And Gamble, who's walked 3 times in his career with the bases loaded. 2 down. Big swing and a miss, 0-2. This time Gamble lays off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Gamble cuts and tips it into the glove. Narvaez hangs on, and the inning comes to an end. Nice job by Aaron Bummer.
sequence, and here is the sequence, and it culminates in something that was a bit controversial, and that is, did Narvaez hold on to the ball? Now, we know that it was tipped. It's in the glove, but he turns the glove over. We can't see if it hits the ground. Alfonso Marquez obviously could. Scott Service did argue. And right there, if it hits the ground, well, maybe not. At any rate, it's end of the inning and on to the next as the Sox try to battle back in this one. James Pezos. They got a pretty good bullpen on for the 7th time. The ERA at 2.25. There you see the rest of the numbers. 9 strikeouts, 1 walk in 8 innings.
Arizona native, the left-hander, to face Adam Engel. Adam hits it well to right field, but not well enough. Haniger is underneath for out number 1. Vogelback is off of first. Andrew Romine checks in. Switch hitter off the bench for Seattle. Mariners have left the bases loaded twice in this game. Once in the 5th and now once here in the 7th. And we'll see if Moncada and the Sox can make him pay. Yoan started the offense with a home run today. And there is strike 1. Commemorate your first game at Guaranteed Rate Field. If you stop by the Rookie Corner in section 154, each first-timer gets a free button and customized first game certificate. Guests on the 300 and 500 levels can get theirs at the guest services booth located behind home plate. Visit whitesox.com to get your tickets today. Also available on the 600 level.
A very good level. That's where the complaint department is. Pezos with pretty good stuff. Big man at 6'2", around 240 pounds. Out of Gilbert, Arizona, last year 4-5, an ERA under 4 in 59 appearances for these Mariners.
Strike 3, 2 down. And Yolmer is coming up.
Rondon throwing in the pen. And with 2 outs, he's getting loosened up in a hurry.
Sanchez struck out looking last time against Felix Hernandez, who gave up 3 runs in 6 innings on 7 hits this afternoon. Sox got to him for 2 in the first, as Nate Jones has joined Bruce Rondon in the bullpen. Right field and foul.
This is usually how this works. You score a run here, it's Jones. You don't, it's Rondon. The Seattle pen up and going. And it is Nick Vincent. We've seen him around. He also has good stuff. That's a good Seattle bullpen. With Edwin Diaz at the back end, yesterday he was overwhelming.
He was really good and really fast. It was basically Sox didn't have a chance to think in the batter's box.
We get struggled with the first hitter he's faced. But yesterday there was no struggles whatsoever. He got it, he threw it, and just threw it by a team that was trying to get something done that hadn't got anything done all game in a 1-0 game.
Three balls and a strike on Sanchez. Against a former 13th round pick, Pazos. 3-1. Now 3-2. It was a fastball he knew he was going to get. He got it. Payoff. On the ground, second base. And it's a 1-2-3 inning. Last call for hot dogs. 4-3 Seattle.
A lot of hot dogs today, a lot of young people enjoying those same hot dogs. Partner Jason just ate one that had to be, I don't know, 6 hours old, and he seems to be enjoying it.
Pretty tasty.
And Southpaw having a lot of fun.
When they took that?
Absolutely.
Come on.
That is the coldest hot dog in the ballpark. I think it's wonderful.
You can't do anything in this booth without somebody shooting it.
Just remember that, Pally.
Yeah, I will.
When you try to abscond with some of my cough drops or something along those lines.
The new pitcher.
Bruce Rondon coming on for the 6th time. ERA robust 8.10 and a 1-0 record. One bad outing. Other than that, he's thrown it pretty well. He'd love to keep it at a 1-run deficit.
Ball and 2 strikes on Zunino, who doubled and scored in the 3rd, then homered in the 6th, and he's the reason for that 4-3 lead. Quick pitch, strike 3. 1 down. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Romine to left field. And 2 gone very quickly for Rondon in the 8th.
Would give up a hard hit ball, give it up to left field. Romine hit the daylights out of that one, but the wind is now howling across toward the right field corner. It'll be real difficult to get it out unless somebody hits a line drive. And that time, Romine just was not strong enough.
Here's D. Gordon.
Andrew Romine probably figuring what he has to do to get a hit, because he hit that ball right on the button, and he's 0 for 14 this season.
Well, you gave him the guidepost, just don't hit it there.
Hit it right center. I don't think you have much of a choice with Rondon on the hill. He throws in the upper 90s consistently, and now he's starting to get that slider over the plate. And for a relatively small deal, if he does get everything over the plate, he can be a very valuable member of the bullpen.
2 balls and a strike on Gordon, whose dad, Tom, spent 21 years in Major League Baseball, 21 seasons, 3 times an All-Star.
He had a great curveball. I mean, he was a diminutive guy, but a great over-the-top curveball. I remember Flash Gordon was just outstanding. What a pitcher he was. Remember one year when Flash decided it would be a really good idea to remove all of his toenails during spring training. Needless to say, it did not improve his pitching and also didn't improve his walking or his playing, so he had to take a little time off. Not his best decision, but what a pitcher he was.
I don't think D. Gordon really likes the quick pitch very much.
I don't think anybody does. I mean, that's one of the reasons why pitchers use it, to make sure you've got no comfort zone. And pretty much when you're in the batter's box, you can do whatever you want to with nobody on base.
Can I double back and ask why he didn't want his toenails?
I guess for lack of anything better to do that particular spring, but he was having some problems, and he had more problems after he had them removed.
I would imagine so. 2-2. It's down 3 balls, 2 strikes.
For sure, you don't want to walk this guy. You throw it down the middle and you say, how far can you hit it? And if he hits it out, well, so be it, but you're throwing a double if you walk him.
(3-2). Fouled away off the top of the net and dropped in the crowd.
There's a souvenir and a very happy man.
As long as you end up with the ball, even if you don't catch it.
That's it.
3-2 is cut on and missed. Strike 3. Rondon gets out of the 8th. Sox need 1 to tie, 2 to take the lead. You win with Papa John's Pizza all season long. The day after the Sox win, you get 50% off your entire online order of regular menu priced items only at papajohns.com. When you use promo code SOXWIN, valid at participating Papa John's locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. Mariners dip into the bullpen for a guy we saw yesterday, Juan Nicasio, who throws pretty hard, and got them to Edwin Diaz in the back of that bullpen for a clean 9th inning. So Nicasio replaces the left-hander Pazos, who went 1 clean, and his first pitch to Matt Davidson is ball 1. Matt on for Jose Abreu, who's out with flu-like symptoms after starting the game. Matt singled in his only at-bat back in the 5th. Downstairs, Chuck.
Yeah, I'm watching to see the strike zone and the balls and strikes with Matt Davidson here today, because clearly there were some questionable calls with him yesterday, which led to Ricky Renteria being ejected. Davidson's been working diligently on his strike zone, and you have to wonder, you know, at some point, would he develop a better reputation for being able to stay away from some of those pitches out of the zone and get better calls? We'll see if this continues here today.
It was something Matt was talking about after the game yesterday. That was ball 2, very close to the zone.
Nicasio was good yesterday. Diaz was great. You want to get it done right here and worry about Diaz maybe next time we see Seattle. And Nicasio on the verge of walking the potential tying run. He's kind of a short armor. The velocity is good, but nothing like Diaz can rush it up there. Seager right on the line. He doesn't want the ball going to his right at all.
3-1. Now 3-2.
Steve, what does it take to develop that patience at the plate reputation and get the better calls? How long is it going to take for Matt Davidson to get those calls?
I don't think the reputation has anything to do about it. I think the umpire is calling pitch to pitch to the best of his ability, and reputation in this day and age, I don't think means anything.
3-2. There's strike 3. So Nicasio guns in a couple of strikes, and there's one away here in the 8th. Well, you've said before that significant veterans do get the benefit.
I think that it was much more prevalent in past generations than it is right now. But yeah, I mean, if you've been around for a while, maybe on a borderline call. But overall, I think umpires go pitch to pitch. They're trying to make the best call they possibly can make. Sometimes, you know, like players, sometimes they try to do well and it doesn't work out. Umpires are the same thing. And visibility, sometimes, you know, sometimes, Jason, it's as little as the size of the umpire as opposed to the size of the catcher. Some of the smaller umpires sometimes will get blocked out by some of the bigger catchers on certain calls, especially when they're going up to make a throw to second base. They will get blocked out, and at times they're guessing somewhat on what to call. But I think it's situational as opposed to that reputation. Years past, there were guys that you couldn't get a called third on, and that was pretty much known all over baseball. I think those days are gone. I think these guys have a great deal of integrity. I think they're calling a strike zone to the best of their ability, and sometimes it's better than others.
Ball and a strike on Delmonico. Well, I think you can also, I agree completely. First of all, you try to do what plate umpires are doing with the ball coming in as fast as they are. But I do think it's fair to say that there are some days that are better than others for umpires.
Well, there's no doubt.
Strike zone sometimes gets jumpy.
They would be the first to tell you that they can have as bad a day as a player can have. Now, quite obviously, it's equally as visible, but it's more visible when you're behind the plate.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not like a catcher who calls a pitch and knows what's coming. The umpire doesn't know what's coming. So he sees a slider, he sees a curveball, he sees splitters, he sees knuckleballs, he sees all kinds of different pitches without knowing beforehand what is coming or how it's going to move. So this is a very tough job. I mean, let's face it, the players are the best in the world at what they do or they wouldn't be here. These umpires are also the best in the world at what they do or they wouldn't be here. A lot of them pay a long apprenticeship in the minor leagues to get to the major leagues. And so they're not going to do anything that jeopardizes that.
Oh, no.
And
but some do have bad days.
I mean, nobody's immune to a bad day regardless of what you do, whether you're a mechanic or anything else.
There's strike 3.
Just as we promised, it's time for the Miller Lite Hold True moment. And take a look at Tim Anderson. And it came early. First inning. He goes up. Top of his jump makes the play.
Two for 3 day at the plate for Tim.
I would say this is some bullpen for the Mariners.
No.
I mean, they are as strong as just about anybody around.
Yeah, the guy looming, the dragon behind the door for the 9th, is no fun.
The only thing we can hope is that Diaz will follow some of the patterns he has early in the season, and at times, which is trouble with the first hitter. He's hit a few, he's walked a few. We didn't see that Diaz yesterday, however.
Ball and 2 strikes on Anderson.
Soria loosening up in the pen.
Looks like the 9th will be his, depending on what happens offensively for the Sox here with 2 out and nobody on. Two. That's strike 3. Nicasio strikes out the side. 10 punch outs in the game for the Mariners. 4-3 to the 9th.
Mike Zunino, opposite field, into the wind tunnel and gone. And what a series he's had, offensively, defensively. He's back, and the Mariners are very happy that he is. And Soria coming in the ballgame on for the 8th time, a 3.86 ERA. 2 of 3 in save opportunities. That's pretty good. It's a big inning here. You can ill afford with Diaz looming to give up any more runs.
You might be able to get 1 against him. You certainly could get multiple, but the probabilities start to really decline.
Yeah, especially when you take a look at the shadows and they're starting to creep across home plate. He's difficult to hit anyway. In about 5 minutes, it'll be close to impossible.
High into that blue sky. Sanchez is there. A leaning catch.
Tomorrow on NBC Sports Chicago, the Sox play the first of 5 in a row against the Royals. Coverage begins at 7, and you can stream the game on the NBC Sports app.
And one down for Robinson Cano. And there's ball number 1. Cano, 3 walks in the game, 2 4-pitch walks. And we are halfway there.
Well, it's safe to say that Cano really hasn't seen Soria very well. And maybe in the shadows he can see him better.
That's a strike, 2-1. Sox in the home 9th will have Polka leading off, then Thompson and Narvaez. Leori Garcia and Wellington Castillo also available on the bench today.
The question is, and that will be the question for Ricky Renteria, do you want Leary and his speed, or do you want the home run potential in Daniel Polka?
Also depends on the score in part 2.
I would think so, yes.
Two and 2. That's low. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nelson Cruz, who has been thorny today, is next. He's 3 for 4 with 2 runs driven in. I think the count may have just eluded Robinson Cano for a brief moment.
At 0 for 14, he's dying to get out of there and at least get on base somehow.
The old 3-ball walk.
It's a changeup. Let's see if he can wait back.
On the ground, left side. And 2 down.
He's safe. Hits off the bag. Matt Davidson was drawn off the bag, and Robinson Cano hustling down the line. Give him a little credit, because he didn't take anything for granted on that little chopper to the left side, and the throw pulled him off. They're going to probably take a look at it, but at least for the moment, Bruce Dreckman said he did indeed pull him off. Wilmer can't get command of it. Matt appears to have his foot on the bag, but we shall see, and I'm sure we're going to take a look at it.
I think he's on the bag.
Watch it again. The question is right there. He's on the bag. I know he moved the heel back on the bag. The question is, did it come off the bag in the first place? Now, the one thing for Bruce Dreckman is he was looking right at the call, and we'll have to see. There's no doubt that Matt shifted, and then the heel went back on the bag. The question is, did it come off the bag when he caught the ball?
Again, this is a reason to like instant replay, because very tough job, bang bang plays, and if there's visual evidence to help, I think if you polled most umpires, they would say that they like replay review.
And I think for the most part, players like it also. They just want to get the call right. Everybody wants to get the call right, and I will see if it is right.
Looked like there were basically 2 moves of the foot. Yeah. It looked like it moved and then dislodged.
He's safe. And that's what I saw, and that's what Bruce Dreckman saw. So now Alfonso Marquez is talking it over with Ricky Renteria and explaining to him probably what they said in New York.
Again, we don't see all of the angles that they have, so
it will go as E5.
So Abreu out with flu-like symptoms. He came out after 2 at-bats today. here is Nelson Cruz.
Nelson's had quite a day.
In the air, and Engel makes the call, says stay away Nicky. He does. 2 down as we take a look at Verizon's projected starters for the upcoming series. It is 5 and 4 days in Kansas City and starts with 2 very talented young pitchers, Junis and Giolito. Lucas made his first start of the year in Kansas City. His ERA above where he wants it, certainly.
He's trying to find that curveball again. Last time out was very frustrating for him. Hopefully he'll come back with a big bounce back effort.
One 1-0 on Seager. Scheduled again for the Sox, Palka, Thompson, Narvaez, 6, 7, and 8 in the home ninth, as you see the shift on for Seager, who was intentionally walked, to success for the Sox in the 7th.
There he is, a man who dominated yesterday, and he did it very quickly. Maybe today he won't have it, because if he has what he had yesterday, you can call in the dogs.
Fouled on the first base line, 1 and 2 for Seager. Kansas City, by the way, is home for Milwaukee tonight. 7:15 start time in their series finale. Sox will miss Jason Hamill, who's starting today. Popped up left side. Soria leaves it for Sanchez. Sox need 1 to tie, 2 to win. Jose Abreu, April 25th, this day in 2014, game-winning grand slam to the mob at the plate, and a curtain call for Jose. Sox only need one swing like that to tie it as it stands right now, with Daniel Palka to lead it off, then Trace Thompson and Omar Narvaez. And a moment to himself for Seattle's new pitcher.
There you look at Edwin Diaz. 11 games, .79, 9 for 9 in saves, including one yesterday, 21 strikeouts, 11 1/3. Very impressive.
The hope is he gets wild.
He can do that. Again, first batter faced has been a problem for him. Was not a problem yesterday. Doesn't mean it won't be today. That was a pretty good pitch. He did not get the call.
(2-0). Fouled back at 96.
He got his fastball and he got it down. And Daniel had a very good cut at that ball. He was not overmatched by that fastball. As long as he keeps it thigh high, he'll have good swings. It's letter high that'll be a problem.
Somewhere in between, 2 and 2.
Yeah, well, you'd expect to see this one a little higher too, and right there at 97, if he gets it a little higher, it's going to be tough.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Not a bad cut there.
No, not bad fouling that one off. That ball was up, it was out away, and he was pretty much on it. So that's a good sign. Here's a slider. See if he can lay off.
Oh, it hung up in the zone.
Yeah, that was a mistake by Diaz. That wasn't even close to what he threw yesterday. But this one, trying to wipe out slider down and in, he gets under the ball and the ball stays up. And Diaz gets a break.
2 and 2. In the dirt, 3 balls and 2 strikes on Palka.
Put him on base and watch and see if Leary comes in representing the tying run.
You would imagine that would happen?
I would certainly think so, but we shall see. That man knows.
3 and 2. Fastball challenged him, strike 3. Borderline pitch, great location.
Too close to take, and yeah, he just reared back and said, here it is. Let's see what you can do with this. It's above the belt and really difficult to handle, and Daniel goes down on strikes. But he's not the Lone Ranger. There's going to be a few of them that go down on strikes with this guy.
You get the feeling that even the Lone Ranger would go down on strikes.
That was a big fastball he threw. Could use one of those right about now.
One of those for Yolmer, so he doesn't have to do that motion with his hands anymore.
That's for Noah, his child.
That's a good look. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike to Trace Thompson, who's 0 for 3. (1-1).
$99 down. You can at least get a piece of it. 99 up. Thanks for coming. He did throw 100 yesterday in the final pitch, I believe.
Slider just low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That is just nasty stuff.
I would think Zunino's going to say, let me see what you got. Here's a fastball. But we'll have to see what he calls. Yep, that's the heat.
2 and 2. Trace hits it in the air left side. Segura, we're out number 2. You get the feeling Seattle's going to win a lot of 1-run games this season.
Get a feeling a lot of teams can be bearing down in the 8th inning to try to do anything they can not to get to the man on the mound now with a 1-run deficit.
Here's Omar. Sox last base runner came in the 5th. Slider starts him off.
That doesn't seem fair. 87. Outer third to get ahead. Omar loves to go to left field. Not on a slider.
All right, 2 sliders, 0-2.
High fastball. But you got so much room with which to play with here.
There it is. He lays off.
Gamble probably comes into play if Omar can catch up with a 98, because it's going to be out away from him. And Gamble is not toward the line and left. That's somewhat surprising. Look at the defense, pretty much straight away.
Wellington Castillo's on deck. He's grabbed a bat in Adam Engel's spot. If Omar were to reach 2-2, fastball fouled off. Well, Sox are making Diaz work. Polka with an 8-pitch at bat to lead off this 9th, and the pop out from Thompson, 2 away.
Castillo did face him yesterday. I'm talking about Diaz. He grounded out to lead off the 9th inning, so at least he's seen him.
Slider got him, called strike 3, and that will do it. So this Mariners bullpen continues to be lethal, and it's a 1-run victory for Seattle, as Omar didn't like it.
And the Mariners really have some hope that they can catch the power teams in the West because of that pen. They get just enough offense today, and the bullpen made it hold up. So it's on to Kansas City for 5-4. Scott Service and his Mariners will depart, and we will see you on the plane.
Sounds good to me. Sox fall 4-3 final score. For our producer Keon Dolachaki, our director Jim Angio, associate producer Dave Ross, tech manager Mark Harper, and the executive producer Greg Bowman, and our entire NBC Sports crew. For Chuck Garfine and Steve Stone, I'm Jason Benetti. So long from Guaranteed Rate Field. Coming up next, Subaru White Sox post-game live. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on NBC Sports Chicago.